U.S. investigator Daniel R. DePetris inquires as to why Washington is reluctant to discharge the mystery 28 pages of the 911 report. The conclusion is that the 28 pages are unessential in connecting Saudi Arabia with al-Qaeda and the September 11 psychological oppressor assaults of 2001. The connection between the Saudis and al-Qaeda has been reported from before the assaults up to this point with psychological militant exercises in Syria. In the event that anything in the missing 28 pages of the 9/11 Commission report involves the Saudis, the reality of the pages are absent. Sputnik reports. Why is Washington hesitant to discharge the 28 last pages of the massive 422-page Joint Congressional Report over the 9/11 dread assaults? As indicated by Daniel R. DePetris, a partner investigator at the Raddington Group, there are no obvious deterrents in the method for distributing the redacted 28-page segment of the report. Indeed, even Riyadh has as of late flagged that it isn't against the report being in general society area. Furthermore, still the White House is concocting pardons why there is no compelling reason to broadcast the request. The 28 pages have gone up against the supernatural emanation. The way that the archives have been rushed away behind a Goliath vault in the Capitol and carefully guarded throughout the previous 14 years normally produces hypothesis that the George W. Shrubbery and Obama organizations are attempting to shield an imperative Middle East partner from open humiliation and worldwide rebuff. Why, the thinking goes, would the U.S. government keep the 28 pages grouped if Saudi Arabia didn't have anything to conceal? DePetris writes in his article for the National Interest. The investigator brings up that organization authorities, official officer and co-seats of the 9/11 Commission have as of late voiced yet another contention on why the report ought not be discharged. What's more, the contention is that there's just the same old thing new in the 28 pages that the American individuals don't definitely know. Good, for what reason does then regardless it remain covered in mystery? The way that there is nothing touchy in the archive is the best contention for making it open. Surprisingly, Emma Ashford and Christopher A. Preble of the U.S. Cato Institute indicated the way that the report barely contains any new information and a portion of the implied disclosures are as of now known to people in general. They contend that the falling apart U.S.-Saudi relations have nothing to do with the case. Ashford and Preble underscored that the request found no confirmation that the Saudi government as a foundation or senior Saudi authorities exclusively financed the association that did the savage 9/11 assaults. The case for disguising the idea of the U.S.-Saudi relationship was never extremely solid. Nor is the situation for passing out those 28 pages. A few insider facts require securing, yet this is one story that should be told, Preble demanded in his April article for the National Interest. So what is behind the Obama organization's unwillingness to discharge the report? As indicated by New York-based geopolitical investigator Rulson Gunner, it doesn't generally make a difference regardless of whether the celebrated 28 pages will be discharged. The case is clear. It was Saudi Arabia that made and supported al-Qaeda over recent decades, and Washington has chosen not to see to Riyadh's glaring offenses. The Examiner alludes to the BBC's 2004 article Al-Qaeda's Roots and Connections that portrayed that al-Qaeda became out of the system of Arab volunteers who had gone to Afghanistan in the 1980s to battle under the flag of Islam against Soviet communism. Amid the counter-Soviet jihad, bin Laden and his contenders got American and Saudi subsidizing. A few examiners trust bin Laden himself had security preparing from the CIA, the article read. It is all around recorded that Washington and Saudi Arabia outfitted and prepared Islamists in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Gunner points out the way that Saudi Arabia has upheld al-Qaeda fearmongers from that point forward and has additionally been spotted helping al-Qaeda partners in Syria. The expert asks whether it is conceivable that the Saudis who upheld al-Qaeda when the 9/11 dread assaults were not engaged with the September 11 disaster. Whatever the appropriate response will be, the U.S. Open should read the renowned report. The American individuals should read it themselves. Furthermore, more vitally, The groups of the individuals who kicked the bucket on September 11 ought to be managed the privilege to investigate every one of the reports even remotely associated with that appalling day. It isn't sufficient for the U.S. government to give them consolations that there is just the same old thing new to see, DePetris underlines.